a member of the British Parliament who owned a good deal of property throughout the Isle, once offered up this prayer. O God, thou knowest I have mine estate in the city of London, and another in the county of Essex. I beseech thee, O God, to preserve the city of London and county of Essex from fire and earthquake. And as I hold a mortgage in Hertfordshire, I beg of thee likewise to have an eye of compassion on that county too. As for the rest of the counties, God, thou may doest with them as thou think best. Well, you know, there may be a bit of John Ward in each of us. In an unpredictable universe where nature acts indifferently to our needs and even to our existence, we'd relish a providential eye looking out after our own interests. As John Ward demonstrated so clearly, the more we possess, the longer the list that requires special intercession from a source greater than ourselves. We pray that God's benevolence will fall upon us and spare us of any cataclysmic events that frequently happen throughout the normal course of life. Religion can easily be construed as quieting the existential angst we all feel as we navigate the random and sometimes volatile pathways of life. Religion can provide a personal God who shows a personal interest in our stumbles and triumphs. People who subscribe to a transcendent reality who actually exists in concrete bodily form and who always listens to us and sometimes delivers. These religious people often extend their series of asks. Not only does protection of property wind its way into intercessory prayer, but it can also include asking for a winning hand in poker, why not? Hitting a home run in the Little League, finding a parking place close to the theater on a Saturday night, or winning a political election. In other words, God is there for your use, a kind of personal valet to make life easy, victorious. Religion, it is generally believed, exists in houses of worship and is usually defined by doctrines. I've heard doctrine referred to as advertising brochures, which offer the consumer an unbelievable deal, too good to be true. And when people feel that the product called Baptist or Catholic or Jewish or Mormon or whatever has outgrown its usefulness or is indeed too good to be true, they will often close that door and wonder about their next step. Where do they turn to now, realizing that the untamed forces in the universe could care less about their real estate in Essex County or their diversified portfolio or even about their individual salvation? I believe something very important happens at this point. Despite cultivating warm family ties, plugging away judiciously at the job and working out to stay fit and in shape, indulging in an occasional pricey wine for a worthy celebration, taking a yoga class or a sitting zazen, a hike up the Wasatch on a cool day, or a game of tennis with friends. Even in all that busyness and good stuff, it dawns on us that it's not enough merely to be in the world. It's not enough merely to be in the world. Ultimately, we're looking for something more. So we're not actually done with religion, per se. We're just seeking something more compatible with our worldview that offers sustenance in our hunger for meaning. We're seeking something that we might even want to call an honest religion. Isn't that a curious term? I just stumbled across that. What do you mean, an honest religion? A religion where the rewards are not fantastic results manipulated by a supernatural being, but more of an honest look at things as they are, trying to make sense of a baffling and chaotic world. We're looking for a sense of connection with something beyond what a family picnic or a run on a treadmill can provide. We seek, I believe, a sense of the profound, a heightened awareness, an inclusive truth, accepting of the diverse world in which we find ourselves. An honest religion doesn't pick and choose whom God blesses and from whom God withholds. We seek beauty in the wilderness and discernments of wonder and awe and majesty and reverence that draw us toward high and noble ideals. And some call that God. We search for that which can help us evolve beyond our own self-centeredness. It's not enough merely to be in the world. What speaks to us religiously is not identifying with the beliefs of ancient revelations that have lost relevancy in a scientific world. It's not identifying the beliefs that map our journeys once we die. When all is said and done, it often feels that the religious beliefs that we've been fed to memorize have little to do with our actual lives. Instead, is not religion really concerned more with our behaviors and actions, our acts of kindness and peacemaking, our pursuit of justice and fairness, our affirmation of the interdependence of the web of all existence of which we are a part? Is not the goal of an honest religion authenticity rather than orthodoxy? Rather than demonstrating belief in creeds, are we not more inclined to believe in the sweet smell of life and our humble purpose in the vastness of existence? And so September has officially been designated as the time for church shopping. People come looking for, well, you know, they're not entirely sure what they're looking for, but they come wearing a lot of protective armor. Their defenses are up with basically 3 layers of self-protection. They tell me in no uncertain terms, I am spiritual, not religious. I am not a joiner. I don't really believe in God. And then they fold their arms in front of their chest. Gee, it's nice to meet you. Although it's always a pleasure to meet new seekers who wander in or stumble in, what I really want to say is this. Spirituality is a great individual endeavor. But spirituality doesn't serve sandwiches in a soup kitchen, nor furnish a home for refugees, nor spin a movement to provide civil rights and human rights for those outside of traditional circles of power. What I really want to say, in the spirit of full disclosure, is this. I'd like you to become a member. Not necessarily today or even next week. We're not striving for huge numbers here, and we'll never pester you about joining. But as a member, You make a commitment to a community that cares deeply about consoling each other in difficult times and celebrating life's joys and triumphs. You make a commitment to care about the world, to engage with the world, to seek justice, teach our children, have your spirits lifted by music and poetry and fellowship, and helping out and making the world more humane. I'd be happy to join such a community. It's not enough merely to be in the world. What does it feel like to be in a church community? Well, I'll borrow an image from Archbishop Desmond Tutu. It's like sitting near a warm stove on a cold morning. I don't have to do anything. The fire warms me. I just have to be there, quiet. What I really want to say is this. Belief in God is not a requirement, but belief in God is okay. God is not God's name. And I'm often astounded how people are surprised when I say, God has no religious affiliation. Oh, I never thought about that. God, for many of us, is the web of all existence. It's energy, light, love, the connection, the glue, the air between molecules. In this honest religion, I don't think you'll find anyone holding on to God as an embodied person granting favors. We will tell you that we don't know what God thinks or how God acts. I like the image of describing God like an oyster trying to explain ballerinas. For decades, I have met seekers who cling to a basic criteria, namely that they're nervous about religion, nervous about joining a church and worshiping God. But they're in church nonetheless, because they believe, unlike what religion teaches, they believe that history is not determined and that destiny is not fated. That which is sacred is not confined to a transcendent realm, but blesses our lives daily once we awaken to the gifts of the ordinary. So what then characterizes what I call new religious seekers? I mean, so far this has been pretty standard stuff. What's new about people seeking a religious home today? Well, over a number of years now, the environmental movement globally has provided a huge paradigm shift in how we come to understand ourselves in a changing relationship with the earth. Where once there was a pyramid picture of the cosmos, with human beings at the top, of course, and all those little creatures and things below that we get to use and eat and dig up and exploit for our own purposes any way we please. It's different now. It's a very fundamental shift in our thinking. We're also learning that individualism, as was defined and heralded at the convention in Tampa, individualism is overrated and untrue. We are not separate individuals who enter relationships when we feel like it. To go it alone is an illusion. And we simply cannot continue to live as selfish individuals, heedless of the consequences of our greed. We are changing the chemistry of the planet. We are disturbing biosystems, and we're altering the geological structure and functioning of the planet, which took billions of years in the making. I love the question posed by the eco-theologian Sally McFaig, just who do you think you are? That's the big question now. We've gone from the top of the pyramid to who do you think you are? The new seeker already perceives that the scope of the environmental crisis in our time is not only the result of certain economic, political, and social factors, but reveals a deep spiritual crisis which needs to be addressed by understanding ourselves as creatures of nature. Now, we are not rugged individuals atop the pyramid, but dependent on the earth, dependent on ecosystems, dependent on one another. Clearly, as in no other era, religion needs to be re-examined in light of the current environmental crisis. We're looking at a new ethical orientation of how we treat not only one another, but how we need to relate to nature and to the earth. Religion, which shapes our understanding of who we are, has focused on humanity's uniqueness as a species, emphasizing our entitlement stemming from a belief in our innate superiority over nature. So the new seeker realizes at gut level the concerted effort needed to reverse our selfish ways and realize that we are not the apple of God's eye. Humanity is not the central element of existence. Religion must demand of us, and this is for the first time in history of religion, but it must demand that we explore how to live and what it means to live within the limitations of the earth. No longer holding dominion over all sentient beings, we search for a new and meaningful relationship with the earth. So whether we are church shopping or been part of this congregation for 20 years or more, restlessness always seems to triumph over complacency, and dissatisfaction with things as they are motivates us to pursue a greater good. In seeking, we remain open to the universe, flexible and free rather than marching in step, wearing a tight jacket of prescribed theological systems. There's little urgency when individuals settle for their own salvation, brokered by a God who cares deeply only for them. However, there is great urgency when religion regards the world as a community rather than a collection of individuals. There's great urgency when religion asks, who do you think you are? Because the earth cannot heal as long as you feel entitled to take more than what the earth can give. So it's not enough merely to be in the world. We need the wider world of endless exploration. We need to act upon the inequities that divide us and affirm a religion that speaks the truth about a new relationship, a new reciprocity between earth and humankind. So welcome seekers, old and new, welcome seekers who are 20-something or 90-something. We have much to learn from one another. And if you're really brand spanking new to this congregation, relax. Don't be defensive. Religious doctrine, membership, and God are not remotely a primary or even secondary focus here. What we're about really is to enhance the experience of being in the company of seekers, trying to find meaning in a puzzling world. We offer no inside track to immortality. We are honest about all we do not know, and we hope to provide that feeling, like sitting near a warm stove on a cold morning. You don't have to do anything, really. Just let the fire warm you.